Coming up tonight on News 7, local residents and business owners respond to Lyndonville bars having to close early.
And several Maple-themed events will be hitting our area.
Plus, join us for the fourth and final segment of our State of Education series. News 7 starts right now.
Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, this is News 7 at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Evan Coughlin.
And I'm Kyle Grover. Tonight is part 4 of our series, The State of Education in Vermont, focusing on higher education.
Vermont has consistently been one of the best per pupil spenders across the country for students in grade school.
However, as Chris Shadrock explains, that number drops drastically when students walk across the stage to get their diploma, and the state colleges are preparing for less money from the state.
About 9% of our overall budget from the state.
And any plans for a substantial increase in state appropriation is something Peter Shumlin says will have to wait.
Obviously, I can't promise money I don't have. But one of the things that I intend to do after we make the changes that I'm talking about that I believe will create jobs, will put Vermonters back to work, and as we do that, will allow us to have better times in state government, is to dedicate resources to higher education. We've got to do it once we climb out of this terrible recession.
However, Lyndon State's president, Carol Moore, is not holding her breath.
I would say I'm cautiously hopeful, but it's a long history to overcome.
And President Carol Moore's hesitation is all in the numbers. You see, in 1980, for every dollar spent in higher education, the state contributed about 50% of the cost. But now, in 2011, just 30 years later, that percentage has dropped to less than 20%. But Representative Howard Crawford says the state colleges and UVM should consider themselves lucky.
And it is in Governor Shumlin's budget is to continue to give percentages increase to the state colleges and University of Vermont. This actually is very good because a lot of areas in the state budget are taking cuts right now.
The other issue facing state colleges is the number of unprepared students graduating high school. In 2009, 19% of the incoming class at Lyndon State tested into remedial English, a number that jumped to 30% in 2010, while in both years over 30% of the incoming class tested into remedial math. However, neither of those numbers concerns President Moore.
We're right about the national average for state colleges. So, I'm not concerned about that part in and of itself. But I am concerned about students' preparation.
And with state appropriations declining, renewed efforts are being made to find new sources of revenue. Chris Shadrock, News 7, Lyndonville.
The 9% drop in appropriation that Lyndon State is expecting came in the form of federal stimulus money that has run out and the state will not replace. President Moore also says that there needs to be more communications between colleges and high schools so students are better prepared for the academic rigors of college work.
Students of Lyndon State College and local residents accustomed to driving on bumpy roads around Lyndon's campus will soon be able to breathe a sigh of relief. I had the chance to speak with college officials about the road's reconstruction. For the past several years, Lyndon State College students and local drivers in the Lyndonville area who use College Road or McGough Hill have suffered through horrendous road conditions, dodging potholes and gaping cracks in the pavement while navigating their way through the stretch of road at the top of McGough Hill. However, as of May 16th this year, the college will finally begin taking steps toward fixing this eyesore and driving hazard, as they begin work on repaving the stretch of road, as well as the vast parking lot that serves dorm residents at the school.
The road that runs from the stop sign near McGough Hill Road past the maintenance facility, all of that will be rebuilt.
The work will involve completely tearing up the existing parking lot, a basketball court and skate park, and the road itself before repaving, which could lead to rerouting of traffic.
There will be periods during the summer when that will be shut off. We'll have to use the other. It may take some people a little bit longer to get to their destination. We'll try to give as much notice to that as we can.
The college will also be installing security cameras and improved lighting in an effort to improve safety for students and local pedestrians.
The security cameras will help They're not going to be monitored all the time, but at least if there is a problem, we can go to the cameras and take a look after the fact.
The demolished basketball court and skate park are also expected to be replaced with new facilities across the street from the current existing ones. The expected date for construction to begin is May 16th, the day after this year's graduation at the college.
The Vermont House is set to debate a measure that could, in cooperation with other states, effectively institute a national popular vote. Supporters are trying to get around the Electoral College without amending the U.S. Constitution. They want to form a compact of states agreeing to throw their Electoral College votes to the candidate that wins the national popular vote. Backers are trying to get enough states to sign on to bring the total electoral vote count to 270, the amount needed to win a presidential election. The measure passed the Senate in February.
Governor Peter Shumlin spoke to the U.S. House of Representatives today. He was invited to testify before the Oversight and Reform Committee at a hearing into how states and municipalities are recovering from the recession and handling budget shortfalls. Shumlin pointed to health care, corrections, and pensions as key cost drivers for Vermont. But he also said Vermont differs from some other states because politicians have been able to put aside partisan differences to work together. Republican Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin also spoke before the committee. And now Jordan joins us with a first look at our forecast. Jordan, it was just kind of a cloudy, miserable day out there today. Are we going to be getting any more rain soon?
Well, thanks, Kyle. And the one word that would describe the weather the past couple days here in the Northeast Kingdom is very wet, very rainy. This is a storm system that brought us the rainfall yesterday, very light to moderate rainfall yesterday. In its wake, however, dry conditions across much of the Northeast and here in the Northeast Kingdom. We are experiencing a little light drizzle out there right now, but we anticipate that will end before the evening. By 7 p.m. tonight, we expect 39 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Some of us could see a few breaks of sunshine out there in the lower portions of Vermont. By midnight, however, those temperatures will fall to 32 degrees. Clouds will begin to clear out a little bit ahead of a high pressure system that will move into the region tomorrow. By 7 a.m., a mix of sun and clouds and 26 degrees. Our weather headlines look like this. Skies will clear out for tomorrow. We'll stay pretty dry, actually, for the day tomorrow and through midday Saturday. However, we do have more rain in the forecast for Saturday into Sunday. But after that system exits, we'll see seasonable temperatures return, warmer temperatures that we've been experiencing, and some more sunshine as well. Kyle, Evan?
Thanks a lot, Jordan. After the break, Jen Falsetti joins us in studio to discuss why Lyndonville bars will have to close their doors early.
And find out which local museum will be expanding and why. Please stay with us.
Tonight, we're taking a closer look at the new closing time for bars in the town of Lyndonville, starting in just a few weeks. Investigative reporter Jen Falsetti joins us here with the reactions from the town.
Thanks, Kyle. The Lyndon Select Board has now decided that starting next month, bars will have to stop serving a half hour earlier at 1 a.m. While a compromise was made to keep police officers safe and noise to a minimum, local bar owners are feeling the effects financially.
These are local people, and this is money that's being taken out of their pockets. And I think what the town really needs to take a look at is to really address the drinking issue as a whole.
An issue that starting next month will mean bars in Lyndonville will have to stop serving a half hour earlier. This being due to a number of factors, including noise complaints.
Half hour may not make that much difference, but it is at least a half hour, hopefully, of less noise in the middle of the night.
Complaints came from noise complaints, of which a lot of them were well after the 2 o'clock closing time. A lot of them were from 3 o'clock on.
Neighbors of the packing house stressed concerns about noise at the Lyndon Select Board meeting, but neighbors I encountered didn't seem to have a problem at all.
Absolutely not. It's right there, and I don't ever hear anybody really.
I think that they should be open as long as they want, to tell you the truth. They don't bother me any, and I meet some very interesting, unique people by living here above the bar.
It's not just noise complaints resulting in earlier closing times. Police are on duty anywhere from 12 to 2 a.m. and feel they want more people on when patrons leave the bars in order to maintain officer safety.
Well, anytime an officer has to deal with intoxicated people, they're unsafe. And with the bars closing at 2, our nearest backup could be as far away as 40 minutes.
An increase in security will unfortunately mean a decrease in income for local business owners already struggling to stay afloat.
Both establishments made it very clear a significant portion of their income comes later in the night. So
All you're doing is making it harder for an area where people are already moving away and you're trying to keep people in, and you've now taken a few hours worth of money out of their pockets.
The Select Board claims that local businesses losing profit was a deciding factor and was important to them. This was the main reason for a compromise to make bars stop serving at 1 a.m. rather than 12:30 so that the bars weren't losing too much in profits.
So Jen, how do these bars in town plan to compensate for the lost hours of business?
Well, Kyle, both establishments have made it very clear that they make most of their profit as well as tips in the later portions of the evening. I did talk to Fat Cats and they said there's really no way for them to compromise or compensate with the closures. The only thing they really can do is inform their patrons and hope they make it to the bars a little bit earlier.
All right, great. Thanks, Jen.
You're very welcome.
There's a good chance that you will be seeing a new museum in St. Johnsbury. The St. Johnsbury History and Heritage Center will be conducting a feasibility study to see if the old St. Johnsbury Armory is a suitable candidate for the new Town Heritage Museum. The study will look at things like upgrades and repairs to the building, as well as look at finding funding resources to make such improvements. If successful, the Heritage Museum would feature items from St. Johnsbury's past that have been in storage at the Fairbanks Museum for a number of years.
It grew out of the Fairbanks Museum not having space to exhibit and it being costly to store many of the historical collections that it has had over the years.
The Fairbanks Museum has expressed that they will do all they can to support the St. Johnsbury History and Heritage Center in their endeavor.
Quilting may be just a hobby to some, but it has become much more than that for one Wheelock woman. Rebecca Bevington has a story.
These ladies not only get together to quilt, but also have a good time.
Quilting, sometimes it's applique, sometimes it's knitting, sometimes it's rug hooking, which I also do that.
Delnicki has been working on a rug hooking project in memory for Mary Pat O'Hagan.
He drew the picture of Pat, okay, and that's them kayaking up at May Pond.
O'Hagan's grandson drew a picture of them canoeing from this past summer. This project is based off of that drawing.
If you finish one and you get the pleasure of it, and you just go on to the next one and you keep making them.
Delnicki works on multiple projects at a time, but she doesn't do it for the end result, but for being around people that enjoy doing the same things as she does.
But mostly, for me, it's getting together with friends is more important now than the finished product.
The second and fourth Tuesday of every month brings not only stitches together, it brings friends. Rebecca Bevington, News 7, Lyndon.
And there's more to come on News 7 after the break.
That's right, the snow may be melting, but it's still sugaring season here in Vermont. Find out what maple flavor events will be heading your way.
And the wet weather is finally done, but for how long? I'll let you know in my full weather forecast after the break. Welcome back to News 7. Currently outside the station, we have 41 degrees and under mostly cloudy skies. And I got to tell you, forecasting this time yesterday, I really thought we were going to have some sunshine out there right now. But in the words of Mick Jagger, you can't always get what you want. What we have gotten this April is a lot of rainfall. Yesterday's rainstorm brought us just under ½ an inch of rain. And our April 2011 total is up over 2.7 inches. And our average is only a little less than 1 1/4. So we've completely blown away the April average. And it's only April 14th. We're not even halfway through the month yet. And when you have a lot of rainfall and a lot of snowmelt in a very short period of time, you got to deal with some flooding. The National Weather Service has issued flood warnings for Coos County, New Hampshire, and Essex County, Vermont, due to the Connecticut River overflowing. And Lake Champlain is also dealing with flooding conditions. So Chittenden County, Franklin County, and Addison counties, Vermont, are also under flood warnings. So here's some little more information about those areas. Lake Champlain, the flood stage is 100 feet, and they're currently just above flood stage at 100.3 feet. It is forecasted to rise, but not a whole lot. By Saturday morning, they're expecting just under 101 feet. The Connecticut River near Dalton, New Hampshire, flood stage is 17 feet. Currently, it's 19.25 feet, and it is actually forecasted to fall, thankfully, because of some of that drier weather that's on the way, 17.8 feet by Friday, 5 p.m. So fortunately for us, the wet weather is pushed well off to our north and east. We have high pressure that's going to try and build in late tonight into tomorrow. It actually will build in tonight. Skies will remain mostly clear through later this evening. We'll have a little bit more cloud cover earlier, but as midnight progresses towards 7 a.m., high pressure will build in, stay off to our north. It will yield sunny skies and a few clouds in the morning, but those burning off mostly towards the afternoon, 42 to 46 degrees. And by Saturday, the high pressure moves off to our north and east. This low pressure approaches from our west. That'll give us some rain showers Saturday night into Sunday. Here's a look at our forecast in more detail for tonight, 24 degrees. Clouds clearing late as we get into tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, high temperatures 45 degrees, winds out of the northwest 5 to 10 miles per hour. And tomorrow night, very cold, 23 degrees, clear skies. Here's a look at our extended forecast, and Friday and Saturday doesn't look too bad. However, we are watching that storm system that'll move into the area Saturday night into Sunday. Timing for this, we expect it to be raining here in Lyndonville by 9 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday, that storm system will clear out. Very quick moving storm system. And by Monday and Tuesday, we'll have warmer temperatures and we'll get off to a great start to our work week with sunny skies on Monday. So fortunately for us and the rivers and streams around here, we're going to get a bit of a relief from the rain, but this weekend, watch out because it's coming back.
It's good news. Thanks a lot, Jordan.
Enough flooding, man. Representative Peter Welch has introduced legislation to promote an industry vital to Vermont's economy and brand. Vermont has approximately 2,000 maple syrup producers and is the largest producer in the country. The bill being introduced would expand tapping access, promote the industry through marketing, and provide funding for maple research. I spoke with two local sugarers about what effect it could have on their operations. For the past 30 years, Barnet native Gordon Goss has been making maple syrup for his family and business.
Well, it's tradition. It's just something I've always loved to do.
I started with it as a kid with my dad. I was 10 when we first started doing this.
Over the past decade, maple syrup production in Vermont has increased by nearly a third. Currently, Vermont ranks first in total maple syrup production and taps. It takes around 40 gallons of sap from one of these maple trees to produce 1 gallon of maple syrup. In 2010, Vermont produced nearly 900,000 gallons of syrup, which takes about 3.5 million gallons of sap. Congressman Peter Welch recently proposed the legislation to allocate nearly $20 million in U.S. Department of Agriculture grants to states to promote the maple industry. In a recent statement, Welch said, quote, "Their trade goes back generations, and it's an important part of our export and tourism economy, as well as a key defining characteristic of our state brand. But sugarers like Goss feel that over-promoting the industry may be a bad idea."
There's some concern from some people that, that we may exceed the market and see a drop in the price of syrup.
While Goss feels over-promoting the industry may be a bad idea, education of maple syrup is a must.
One of the great benefits would be to education of the benefits of pure maple as opposed to the synthetic, not necessarily synthetic sugars, but the table syrups. Unfortunately, some of them are sold as maple syrup.
Until recently, several non-natural maple syrup producers like Log Cabin Syrup were allowed to advertise as all-natural syrup. In September of 2010, Welch questioned Log Cabin Syrup on whether or not the company was violating Food and Drug Administration guidelines. the company was forced to remove the caramel color ingredient from their product and be shelved separately from real Vermont maple syrup. If the legislation was to pass, it would allow for maple-related research, promote maple resource sustainability, and encourage marketing for maple products. For maple syrup producers like Gordon and Chris Goss, what once was a family tradition could boil over into an overtapped industry. If the legislation is passed, the grants could allow sugarers to tap into state lands or provide incentives to private landowners to do so as well.
And in celebration of the history and heritage of the maple industry, St. Johnsbury will be hosting a 3rd annual World Maple Festival this weekend. Last year's event had around 5,000 people. New to this year's event will be a parade on Friday, followed by a free ice cream social. In addition to that, there will be another stage for bands on Saturday, along with 60 new and old vendors. The event will conclude with rewarding the 2011 World Maple Syrup Champion. For event coordinator Scott Beck, the importance is bringing the community together.
I think it's just a great way for people to come in and just catch up and reestablish those family, friendship, community ties that have been severed, whether it's the long winter or just the hectic everyday life that we live now.
The event kicks off tomorrow on Railroad Street at 6 p.m.
And during the Maple Festival, St. Johnsbury Academy students from the class of 2012 will host the first annual SAP Lap 5K run. Runners will start and finish at the St. Johnsbury Welcome Center with a turnaround point 100 feet from the St. Johnsbury Police Barracks. Local businesses have donated prizes toward the event. Chris Dussault, dean of the 2012 class, says the goal is for the students to run the race successfully and use the event as a great learning experience for student involvement in the local economy.
Obviously, the students are getting an opportunity to work with businesses in town and try to sort out and problem solve the various issues that running a race can obviously provide.
The race starts at 8 on Saturday morning, and runners are to meet at the St. Johnsbury Welcome Center for registration and number pickup between 6:30 and 7:30 p.m. Over 60 people have pre-registered for the event. More information on the event is available online at worldmaplefestival.org.
Still to come, Vermont's fishing season is finally underway.
Find out who makes sure there are enough fish in the sea.
Fishing season for salmon and trout started on April 9th, but who makes sure that there are enough fish for the fishermen? News 7's Jack Carney dropped the line and caught the details.
It's Thursday morning, and only the geese are angling for food at Lake Willoughby. It's the perfect time for Chris Thompson of the Bald Hill Fish Hatchery to move in.
This is an annual stocking. It's usually done in early April.
Chris Thompson works for the Bald Hill Fish Hatchery, and today he's releasing over 1,000 landlocked Atlantic salmon into the water.
What I'm going to do is I'll be up on the truck, and I'm going to net the fish out of that front tank, and then drop them from the net down into the water. And the fish are just going to they'll go out to the lake.
To finish up, he uses the drain.
The openings on the side are for when we want to dump all the fish at one time.
The fish Thompson is dumping into the water have been raised by the hatchery for over a year and a half.
So the hatcheries supplement what's already in the lake and allow fishermen to harvest fish at a sustainable rate. I've been fishing my whole life. I like to go on these stocking runs and put the fish out that we've raised. It's a good time. It's satisfying.
1,000 fish later, and Thompson is back to the hatchery. Jack Carney, News 7, Westmore.
Bald Hill Fish Hatchery is not the only hatchery to stock the fish into Lake Willoughby. Other hatcheries from around the state also help with the lake's trout and walleye populations.
Speaking of walleye fishing, the season is about to begin in Vermont's rivers and lakes. The Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department calls Vermont the best walleye fishing location in New England. Walleyes are a freshwater food and game fish of North America, known for having large and staring eyes. The season starts in much of the state on Saturday, May 7th. Regulations vary depending on the water you're fishing. Vermont's state record for walleye was 14.5 pounds, and it was caught in Lake Champlain by Richard Levesque in 2010. That's all for tonight's edition of News 7.
We'll see you right back here tomorrow night at 5:30.
On behalf of our entire news team, have a great night.
For news and weather anytime, log on to news7newslink.net.